Today's episode is brought to you by Wonder Wigs, home of the most natural looking pre-plucked wigs, frontals, bundles, and more. I'm talking about top quality, grade A hair, y'all. Make sure you check them out at wonderwigswithaz.com. Thanks for tuning in to the Real Women Chronicles podcast. I am your international certified life coach, Tiaudra Taylor. The sole purpose of this podcast is to get you from where you are now to where you want to be. Yes, it's time to break chains and to get unstuck. Thanks again for joining in. Let's begin. Hello and welcome. Thanks for joining in for yet again another Real Women Chronicles podcast. I am your host, certified life coach Tiaudra Taylor. And today, y'all, I am super blessed to be joined with my husband. He goes by the name of Terry Taylor. He is a motivational speaker. And I just want to give my husband the floor so he can say hi to y'all.
Hey, how y'all doing?
So yes, he finally got some time to sit down and do a podcast. I think it's very important that whenever we're doing a podcast that's geared towards women, that we do have a man's opinion on certain topics. I feel like certain things only a man can really attest to. So I'm gonna plug away at my husband's thoughts and just his opinions today as a male on relationships and love, and how a man know that he's found the right woman and things of that nature. So we're gonna jump this podcast off by asking my husband I'm not gonna say when. Let's say, when do you think a woman should run for the hills when she's initially dating a guy? What are the red flags she should look for if this guy is going to be no good?
So, to be honest, and when I speak, right, I just want to give opinions on how I see it or things that I've seen, not to speak on, anybody else's story. I just want to speak from how I feel. And again, things I've seen. So, again, I feel as though a female should run for the hills when, let's just be totally honest, if a guy's not talking about marriage, right? Now, you do have some, individuals out there. You have some couples where they might have been dating a long time. And, of course, they're both on one page to where they both came up with an agreement of when they, want to get married. But not speaking for those type of individuals, but just in general, if you're dealing with a man and he's not talking about marriage at all, I would say run for the hills, because to be honest, a guy knows when he finds his wife, right? I guarantee you 95% of the people that's married, if you speak to any female that's married, she will say, yes, my husband told me when he laid his eyes on me, I was the one, right? So again, a guy really knows when she's the one. And he will tell you in the beginning of y'all dating or y'all meeting that I'm going to marry you one day. You're my wife, So again, if a guy's not talking about marriage, he don't see it anywhere on his radar. You got to keep bringing it up. You got to keep pressuring him, to talk about marriage. He ain't the one.
So basically you're saying that initially, if he's not talking about marriage from the jump. Now, I know everybody kind of talks about that subject. Sometimes it's a touchy subject to certain people, especially people who've never seen marriage. Now, would you say that if he, in that first 3 months, if he doesn't mention marriage, are you saying he's a lost cause totally? Or, because some people still get married and don't talk about it initially. So I just want to clarify what you mean by that.
Good question. In the first 3 months, like you alluded to, right? If you bring up marriage and he's not talking about marriage, or if you even bring it up and he laughs about it, he jokes about it, yes, I would say run for the hills, because you're not that serious to him. Maybe you might just be fun for the moment. Maybe he's all over the place. To keep it real again, maybe he's juggling multiple different women. And again, fellas, don't be mad at me. I'm not trying to let the cat out the bag or anything like that. You know, she asked me an honest question, so I have to be transparent. But again, he could be all over the place, or he, you know, just not that into you as far as wanting to marry you. Again, you might be fun for him. Y'all might do things as far as, you know, go out on dates, or he can, you know, brag about you, but it's just, again, something fun for him to do.
Okay. Well, I think he dropped some jewels there, ladies. If a man is not talking about marriage and just taking it seriously, taking the relationship seriously with you, then yeah, I think that's a major red flag. I know when he and I met, marriage was something that he talked about during the first date. It was a little scary by him bringing it up, but he did bring it up the first date. And I must say that if I look over my history, the guys that weren't as serious didn't even talk about marriage at all. So I definitely understand that. Now, here, I need you to give us some hints on how we would know if a man is being unfaithful. I know that we kind of know the answer to this as women, but we'll ignore it. And sometimes we just need a man to just give us few red flags on how you know when a man is unfaithful.
Well, you would know. All right. So let me keep it 1,000, right? Some men are really good at cheating. I'm gonna be totally honest, right? Some men you might not never know. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you, right? Some men are really good at hiding things. They're good at lying. They're very manipulative. They're mischievous. They know how to get away with it, right? But at the end of the day, God knows all and he sees all, right? So to answer your question, right? Because again, sometimes you may not know, but this is how you will always know when a man is cheating. Again, because God doesn't lie, right? And God is so real. He's going to give you that woman intuition, right? So if you ever feel any type of intuition, it's the truth, go with it. I promise you, because again, God is not going to set you up for failure. God is not going to lie to you. He knows all and he sees all and he hears all. So if you ever had any type of, you know, feeling, any type of intuition, any type of thought that's in your spirit, go with it.
Okay, so in a nutshell, you're saying that's the sign that you would say is just intuition. So, but are there things in a man's actions that would, you know, that would be a red flag to look for?
Well, you got some men, right? They're bad at cheating. Let's just be real again, right? So some men, they don't know how to hide it. They're not good at it because they've been caught multiple times, right? So if you got a man, right, every time y'all go out, if he places his phone down so you can't see the screen if somebody's calling him or something like that, that's a red flag, right? If you have a man, right, you know his daily routine, right? And all of a sudden he switch up his routine, that's a red flag, right?
Okay.
Or if you talk to a man and you ask him certain kind of questions and he don't answer the questions but he flip it back on you, that's a red flag.
Okay. So yeah, that's a few jewels for you ladies. Now, I know that you have made mention of a man's relationship with God. And one thing that we can say, y'all, is as a married couple, we stand on a firm belief that without God, the relationship is doomed to fail. Now, this is my thing. I've always said that if a man does not hold himself accountable to God first, he could never hold himself accountable to you. But just listen to my husband's standpoint on that. How do you feel a man's relationship with God correlates with his relationship in a marriage or in a relationship with a woman? Like,
it correlates in a relationship and a marriage because you made a valuable point. if you're not holding yourself to a higher power or a higher standard, you stand for nothing, you fall for anything, right? So if a man is holding himself accountable to God, at the end of the day, a true God that has a relationship with God don't want to let God down, right? So a marriage is a sacred union between a husband and a wife with God in the middle, right? So let's just look at, give me an example. If God is your best friend, for an example, you don't want to let your best friend down. Now, let's just keep it real. We're not perfect. We're human. We do fall short of God's glory, right? But as long as we try our best to each and every day strive to be like Christ, meaning lead by example, be honest, be faithful, be, trustworthy, be loyal, keep it real, communicate well. God says treat your marriage like how Jesus did the church, meaning Jesus never gave up on the church, right? Jesus was always there for the church, right? So you have to hold yourself to a higher standard, because if you're not holding yourself accountable, you don't care, meaning that means anything go. You ain't got nobody to answer to. So if I want to go out here and cheat, if I want to go out here and, lie or do things that's not right, I don't care, because I'm not letting anybody down. But it's kind of like that son that has a father. Us as men that have, fathers in our lives, we want to do everything to make our father proud, right? Now, you do have some, individuals that never had a father growing up, right? Never had a father in their life. But you don't use that as an excuse, because when you have your children, you want your kids to look up to you, right? So you have to hold yourself to a higher standard, because, again, if you stand for nothing, you fall for anything.
And I totally agree with you. If a man does not stand for something, he will fall for anything. And just to chime in on that thought, I do believe that it's harder for a man to cheat when he has a relationship with God, because he knows that God is watching. God doesn't like certain things. Now, granted, we're all, we all sin. We all do things that we're not proud of. But to do it on a regular basis and to have a close relationship with God is not something that's common. You can't claim to have a close internal relationship with God and, deceive the ones that you love, whether it's in a relationship or not.
Right, and that's very important, that you got to keep God first, because, all right, so I've seen a lot and I've heard a lot, especially with females when they're dealing with guys, right? I do feel like sometimes females can be so vulnerable because they feel like doing whatever the guys say, that's going to keep them around. Mm-hmm. But that's not true. Because, again, you have some guys that are so manipulative they know how to say things to get what they want, right? So this is what I challenge the ladies to do this going forward. If you really want to know the guy's the right one for you, challenge him with being abstinent. If a guy truly loves you or really want to be with you, if you say, hey, I don't want to have sex for the next 3 months or just until we get married or just in general, if he's cool with that and not just lying to you or, still juggling other women, still getting his rocks off or getting his needs met, then he should be somebody that you should want to, look into. But if he can't handle that request, I would say, again, run as far away from you can, right? Because if a guy really want to be with you, he's going to respect you and respect your wishes as far as wanting to abstain from, having sex or, giving yourself to God, right? But again, if he's not down for that, he ain't the one. Because again, you have to love yourself first, and you have to hold yourself to a higher standard for him to respect you. Because if you're just giving him everything he wants, or you're just playing house with him, what is he trying to commit to? He already got the relation. He already got what's inside your pants, right? He already know with a drop of a dime you'll do anything he say, right? So why should he invest all in you? That kind of makes sense for you?
Oh, it makes absolutely plenty of sense. Why buy the cow if you can have the milk for free? And if you're giving up the milk for free and you're in there, listen, don't be in a girlfriend's role playing a wife position. I think that's a problem with a lot of us women. We get in